All right, Ian Zepp here. This is going to be a demo for Chatbox. I'm going to go through the slides, describe the plugin architecture that I settled on, as well as the tools, and then I'll do a quick demo of the actual application over here. So let's just get into it. Three main tiers. The basic idea is that the plugins are themselves MCP servers. And so the way I have this set up on Railway is the web app is deployed from Chatbox Web. And then I have three individual MCP servers that service the applications when they're shown here in Chatbox. Auth0 is used for login and multi-tenancy. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Plugin registries are defined in settings. So we can go ahead and use the MCP servers as pre-registered plugins, as well as adding other third parties. So as long as the MCP server follows the extended manifest bind release protocol that was defined, you can go ahead and use it here as a plugin. The MBR, the manifest bind release, is a layer on top of MCP. So the way that it works is when you register a plugin and it's called by your LLM, it connects and gets a session, and then it iterates through a series of three primary life cycles. One is the binding, where it requests the manifest that tells the LLM what this plugin does. And then you go ahead and you bind it into the current chat. What this means is that tool calls for that plugin become the only application tool calls that are shown. So when you pause a plugin or disconnect or release a plugin, all of that app's tool calls, they disappear. It's like the LLM never saw them. So you're only dealing with context for tool calls from one app at a time. LLM tool routing, pretty standard. The user makes a message, the LLM calls a tool. There's host validation. So one of the things that we do is we restrict the information that's shown to the plugins. The LLM doesn't send full conversations. It primarily treats the plugin as a deterministic endpoint that is interacted with through the different tool calls. So we're not sending raw chat data, we're not sending sensitive user data, and all of the personal information is managed by the LLM before it ever gets sent off remotely to the plugin. For multi-tenant, we're using for Auth0, and we're using Auth0 support for an org ID. So rather than rewrite the entire application as it's deployed on Railway, rather than extend every table or every query with a multi-tenant key, I'm simply using different underlying SQLite databases per tenant, which is essentially per org ID. This is fine because this is just kind of a natural extension of the way that the Chatbox app were done. In a proper system, you wouldn't do this at all, but it's not worth rewriting the entire application just for this one requirement. Performance, there was a set of performance tests that was done as part of this project. I tested multi-concurrency, so essentially slamming the app servers and the host servers with up to 32 parallel requests, and then there's also a soak that was done which runs that over a period of time to see what failures occur. So with the current code base unoptimized, we can comfortably handle roughly 2.3 full end-to-end sessions per second. And that is getting the manifest, binding it, running through a couple tool loops, and then unbinding it. We can support that. So that's reasonably well done. The four reference apps I have are a quiz timer, basic chess, a publisher tool where you can read a book, and an SVG builder. The chess app has 32 different tools that allow the LLM to interact thoroughly with the game. The SVG scene builder has a lot of different tools for layer management, shape management, that sort of thing. So you can talk to the LLM and it will build up the display. And this can be used for things like show me a chemistry diagram, show me, a picture, that sort of thing. The publisher textbook has MCP tools for managing the stuff that you're reading. So let's look at the app again. So for example, here's the quiz, and I asked it to take a quiz about birds, and so it opened up the quiz on the right. Then it went ahead and loaded in the questions. Notice that I didn't give it any question. I simply said, ask me a quiz about birds. And so here's the questions that are going on. I answered some of the questions, and then I asked it for an update. It got the current state of the quiz, and it gave me a response. And I went ahead and I finished. I said I finished, and then it gave me, basically, I did not do a good job on the quiz because I figured the wild turkey was a national symbol and some other issues. So here's another chat about books. So this is the book app. We can switch between them and we can read them. And there's a large set of tools available for navigating the book. So I'm thinking this particular app is where if you have a textbook open up with a publisher, the publisher is giving you the ability to read your textbook, and you can go through and you can ask questions as you're scrolling through here. The LLM will understand where you are, and maybe it can open up a quiz based on things that are in the book, that sort of thing. So that's it. I'll stop there. We're almost at 7 minutes. Thanks for watching.